want to say something here. I know it's a little bit of a interruption, but I'm from Maine, and so anyone that's been to Maine or lived in Maine, like you're basically surrounded by nature at all times. We've got the
Uh-huh.
ocean. We're right on the coast. We've got forest. Even in Portland, I mean, the only real city in the well, not the only city, but the biggest city in the state. And we still have trails all throughout our city. We have a waterfall in the city. We have hiking all around us. We have kayaking, fishing. It's basically impossible not to be immersed in nature in Maine. So I think in that way I was kind of lucky because even though I have like a love of video games as a kid, I played a lot of video games, but a lot of times I just take something like my Game Boy and just literally go play outside like in the forest or something. And there's just I think having that as a being a child and growing up in that atmosphere automatically sort of taught me to appreciate nature and basically cherish it. And I think that now that I'm living in a big city, and I've been living in a big city for like I don't know 4 or 5 years now, it's definitely like a whole different. It's a different ball game. It's really hard for me to want to go outside as much, and it's really hard to interact with nature in a way that I find satisfying or anxiety relieving. Because for me personally, I don't really find going to a tiny park really to be that satisfying.
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, it's interesting because before I met you, I never thought of Maine as this place of great nature. Like I don't know. I mean, I think that's really awesome though.
That's all we have.
It's all you have. But I mean, to be honest, I didn't really know anything about Maine before I met you. But yeah, I mean, I'm from the West, so I'm from New Mexico, and we're just surrounded by huge mountains. And yeah, I mean, there's way more nature than there is people out there. You can't really say a lot positive about New Mexico, but you can say a lot just in terms of like the cities and modern life and the jobs that are available and stuff like that. That there's a lot to be desired in terms of that aspect, but in terms of nature, it's just amazing. We have in Albuquerque, we have the sandias, which are amazing. These huge mountains, a part of the Rocky Mountains. And then you have different types of nature as well in New Mexico. Like you have obviously the desert, in the Southwest, which is really famous. Um, you know, cacti and, really arid, desolate kinds of climate. But then you also have huge mountains with beautiful, coniferous trees like the ponderosa pine. You have a variety of different ecosystems. And yeah, like growing up in New Mexico, it's really, really hard not to appreciate nature. It really, really is. And I think it really comes down to that for a lot of people. Like if you grow up in a state that doesn't have great nature, like you may not end up appreciating it. Like I feel really sorry for people who are raised in like I don't know, like Illinois or something like
Chicago.
that. Chicago, like surrounded by cornfields and stuff like that. Like you don't really see, nature. You don't see real ecosystems. Like everything's just man-made corn or city,
Yeah,
you know.
although I don't entirely agree with that. I mean, I have like really really great memories of my grandparents' farm in New York, and they had tons of cornfields and they had orchards. And I mean, for as a kid, I just found it amazing to run through that and explore, and it
Uh-huh.
just felt like it felt amazing. But I know what you mean. Like it's if you're raised in a place with tons of cornfields, you don't have as much inspiring nature around you, and especially not in terms of the natural ecosystem. But
Mhm.
I think it's a lot worse for like people in the big city, someone like Detroit or Chicago or something. I think it'll be a lot harder for them to appreciate nature. And I think there's a lot of people that want to appreciate nature. Like they see the pictures online, they go on Reddit or whatever, and they see these just gorgeous, gorgeous panoramas of just these beautiful mountains or lakes and national parks, and they want to explore it. But I think people, if they don't grow up with it, oftentimes just don't know how to interact with it, and they might be more likely to perceive it as something that's kind of dangerous or something that's a bit more like sublime or scary.